Bismuth Hive. This is 665.66 UHMR Chemrat Radio, broadcasting live from the stench vats of sublevel 350.
Smelly.
Watch out for the Arbites today. We've got raid reports coming in on all sublevels above 100. Looks like it's tithing time. On the other hand, if you're ready for that rewarding career in the Imperial Navy, maybe just stand outside your Havelock doors and wave a flag. I am Ryan the Goblin King, and today I am joined by my co-hosts Marky.
I am also a meat popsicle.
And Beast.
I am not.
Kevin is out on assignment to let us know exactly what the recruitment process for the Imperial Navy looks like. Hopefully, we'll get parts of him back sometime in the future.
Later, Kev.
I mean, all we really need is that brain, right? Slap it into a new servitor and we're good to go.
Yeah, we got Scully right here. We can just slap his little dealio in here, right? That's how that works.
That's how that works.
He had a brain.
Does he listen to the podcast?
I believe so, actually. Yeah.
We're just joking, Kevin.
I'm not.
Son of a bitch.
So today we are kicking off our 2-part episode on orcs. Fan favorite, podcast favorite. I know both Marky and I have a lot of love for the orcs.
Yes, sir.
You want to take a couple minutes to
elaborate?
Yeah. Gush a little bit. Fanboy
on the
fanboy on the
orcs.
orkies.
So I originally wasn't a big orc fan when I first got into it. You know, I've talked about it a couple of times now, where the wife was actually the one that picked up orcs. But then when I bought her more orcs and I was helping her build and whatnot, it slowly became like, what do you call it? A labor of love,
an obsession.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I was like, you can slap whatever you want on these guys, and they dig it. I believe there was actually an old rule where you can stack as many orcs as you can inside of a truck, and that's how many can fit. And whatever fell off the truck would die. So you could stack like barrel of monkeys, 30 boys in this truck.
It's the IKEA truck of orcs.
Oh yeah. And if a couple boys fell off, it'd be like, what was it, Jenga orcs?
Yeah, old jorts. Old orc rules had a bunch of crazy stuff. Like you used to actually, now you've got to pay for it and you've got to select it out of the codex, but you used to be able to just paint something red and get that extra inch.
I do remember that. Yeah.
You have any love for the orcs? You got any fanboy?
Actually, no. I
just
developed,
like killing them.
Actually, fuck them.
Yeah, no, like really, like when I got into 40K, I actually hated them. I thought, they were my least favorite faction.
I mean, it kind of suits you, Farsight and all, but
it was really just because I hate the accent of like the way that they make them talk.
Yes, you have mentioned.
Yeah, and it was just like I hate everything about them. And what? Funny enough, they have grown on me simply for the fact that like I love
fun to kill.
They're really fun to kill.
Yeah,
but I also love the like bikes.
Yeah,
and the vehicles.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, I feel that.
That became the thing why I started to like them. Was I was like, man, their rules for bikes and trucks
cool, right?
and tanks. I was like, that's pretty rad.
Like, like dust clouds.
Yeah. Lore wise, I hated them, but game wise, play style wise is why I started to come around.
I've always, so it's interesting, because this isn't the first time, anytime we make fun of the official GW orc voice, you express some disdain, but I've never in my head ultimately associated orcs with Cockney.
Until Tom was like, I fucking hate him.
No, Dawn of War. Dawn of War is the time where it really like cemented it.
Oh, okay.
And even now I still have a hard time. Like I don't picture my orcs standing around talking to each other and
like that. It's just like almost like cavemen almost.
Yeah, it's a funny meme. Like it's a funny joke, I'll tell, but I very much hear the, kind of the grizzled, like, kind of like grizzled old warrior
Vin
from
Diesel,
an action movie.
Vin Diesel, family.
Wait, what was that? It was like a Bambi episode. Like The Rock was in. He's like, God damn it! I can't remember what he said. He's like, God, I can't remember it. He was like, and he's like, what the hell are you saying, Vin Diesel? Like, and he kept having to repeat it, and it just kept getting worse. Like,
family.
Yeah.
But I would almost maybe Arnold. Is
Oh,
what's
that's what it
always
was.
popped into
Yeah.
my head more.
It was like Thumper. Why do they call you that? And he's like, wait, what? Like, it's just like progressively got worse. But no, I mean, like the voice. If they sounded like they did in like the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings,
Right,
or if they
right.
sounded like they do in some of the not comics, but like shorts that people have made where they're roaring and things like that, like that's awesome.
It's the Manchester Cockney.
Yeah, it just kills it, dude.
Yeah,
Like it just kills it. Cause then I can't take them seriously.
Well, and,
You know?
and there's actually something that happens, you know, as we progress in talking to people for an hour every week. There's something that does happen to your voice. Like we all sound different, you know, because we all have different like chest cavities. We all have different physiology. And if you look like an orc shouldn't be like, "Oi, mate, can you spare a pence?" It should be like, "Oi, fucker, give me a goddamn dollar." Like there should be something more to it just because they're
Still
big.
awful.
Tom's like, I
That
still
literally
Yeah.
is like nails on a chalkboard what you just did to me.
I can't take
Which
this.
part? The Oliver
every-
Company
every-
or the
every
making
bounce
it
of what you
worse?
just did. Like,
But no, I've always kind of heard my orcs, and I have no way of talking this way because of the way that they've been
That
framed
you
for the
would
last
see-
10 fucking years.
Yeah, you would see orcs.
But yeah,
gotcha.
I'd think more like my orcs are just from Southie. I'll just have to develop my South Boston
Yeah.
accent.
I mean, I'll do it. I'll do what they sound like, and I'm gonna hate it, but I'll do it.
we got a sentence. I'm sure all the guys would want to hear it.
Well, because like that's the thing. Like when you think of an orc, you think of like them coming out. What was it? It was the Dawn of War 3 trailer.
Yeah,
Where the orcs
Yeah.
are walking and like they're just yelling and growling and things
yeah,
like that, right?
shit's blowing.
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not walking up and going like, oh, you what? You what, mate? Like that's how they talk in the in like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
it's
and
like,
all the
oh,
cutscenes
God, I
and
hate
everything.
it. Like,
100%, yeah.
no, but why would he talk like that? He's like, oh yeah, you get. It's like no, they don't. Why would they use that slang? Like,
We're
Yeah.
gonna get to it, but it's programmed into him, dude.
yeah, I just hate
That's
it.
just
I just hate
so
it.
so.
If-
It's programmed
If
into
English is considered low gothic,
genetics.
if English is considered low gothic, why would they
Which
use a
is,
slang
yeah.
term like gits? Because that's what bothers me. You know, like
Yeah,
there is no low gothic term for gits.
Yeah, I've never heard the term "gits" until I started. Really
I just
getting
like
into 40K.
I just like gubbins.
I love Gubbins.
Gubbins
Gubbins.
and flat. I don't mind gits because I like flash gits. Flash gits just
Yeah.
sounds funny.
Flash gits
like
sounds
from a
sick.
normal American accent.
Yeah.
Flash gits sounds
Flash
funny.
Gits. I like saying it.
I gotta figure out. I'm
Flash
telling
gits.
you. Like I'm gonna watch every fucking Matt Damon.
Oh
and
no.
Ben
That's
Affleck
slowly gonna
movie
become your orc.
Before we play our first big orc game, and then
Oh,
like
shit.
you'll do the.
Is DACA? Is that a real thing, Tom? Is DACA a real thing?
I think DACA is
No.
just a fucking.
Is that a made up 40K
word?
thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, there's like slang and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
If you're talking about slang in the British accent,
Yeah.
yes, there is.
well, I feel like Cockney sounds
Is
like
git?
Cockney sounds racist.
Yes,
Okay.
git is a slang term.
It's like dummy.
Yeah, like it's like the term you would normally use is you'd be like you lazy git,
Yeah.
right? And that just basically means like
ass.
gimp,
Gimp.
like
okay.
cripple, like
Okay.
you know,
Lazy git.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
oh,
you'd call like if your friend had a limp, you'd call him a git. Like,
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So Cockney is like gutter punk. If we were to say Cockney in a United States like equivalency,
it's
I'd
actually-
say like crust punk.
no,
I was
it's
thinking
actually
more
closer to like Ebonics.
I was,
Like it's a way of speaking. But if you think like if you're familiar with punk music,
yeah.
gutter punk, like crust punk has a specific laziness to the way they talk. It's very slang heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah.
thinking
I
more
thought you were
like,
referring it to like American,
like
type of thing.
Gambit,
No.
like X-Men Gambit. That's
Creole?
yeah, yeah. I forgot what the.
No.
There's another word for it though, right? Is it racist? Is the other
No,
word?
No,
Creole
Creole.
is the word.
Creole.
The Creole is the language.
Well, that's the accent and like all the slang and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Creole is a mixture of French and English, I believe.
Because it's like, what do you call it? Like swamps or whatever. The
Oh, you're talking
Bayou.
swamp tongue?
Yeah, Bayou. Yeah.
Swamp tongue? Is that what you're talking about?
Is that what it is?
No, but I mean, like, that's what you're referring to. I
Yeah,
think.
well, I mean, I've heard different ways.
Understand
I hang out with some weird people. No.
understanding the language of the swamp. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I was in Alabama, it to me, like, because I can go to England and understand anybody.
Yeah.
But I went to Alabama and I was like, excuse me, I'm trying to find the liquor store. And he's like, oh, yeah, man, go down to the tree line. Go on there.
Yeah,
And I was
that's
like-
kind of what I was.
I think he said go to the tree line,
Turn right,
and then
turn
left. I'm like, but I'm not sure. Like,
Yeah, because I think like
is that how
was it-
your orcs talk in your head?
Right.
It was like was it Princess?
Actually, mine are distinguished Southern gentlemen.
I do say.
I do believe these tau are in my facility. It's time to get my weapons.
Why are you saying it that way?
Weapons.
Wheatons. Will Wheaton.
Why are you saying it that way?
I don't know if it's necessarily bugged me, but I think now that you kind of pointed it out, it is a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason I don't like watching tau stuff in video games. Like,
Why
make it
they
sound
have
like
that
the
accent and
freaking
whatnot.
Trade Federation from
Yeah.
Star Wars. You know?
Yeah. Although that does seem to be kind of going away.
Think so?
Yeah. There's a couple of things I've seen recently where Tau have been presented a little bit more like just people.
Yeah, yeah.
The one I really liked was when they were using the tau language in that Grimdark
That latest one that
episode.
came out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's
okay.
like the ships, it's the two like cathedral, or not cathedral, the Castellan ships coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And they're talking in Tau, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what that was. I don't think it's in the Astartes thing.
no, it's
It's Exodite, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
exactly.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Like,
I'm mad by that way.
Why?
Because every time I see like update to the Exodite, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get an official mod. God damn it. This stupid short. It's a really good short, but it just
It
makes
is.
me sad because I play Exodites.
There's no Exodites in it, right? It's all just
No,
Tau.
it's that. As far as I'm aware, they're referring to that character as Exodite.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sucks.
It has nothing to do with Eldar. So it makes me
Really?
have sad minute. Unless it
I'm
does,
sure
and we
it's
just
gonna
haven't seen it
eventually-
yet.
I
well,
think
it's about a what's his face?
we're probably going to date ourselves here because once that Warhammer TV comes out,
It started.
Warhammer Plus, baby.
yeah.
What's
It's a Warhammer
God?
Plus.
What is the Inquisitor? It was about an Inquisitor at first.
Right. Right.
That's what Exodite's all about. It's about an Inquisitor.
Oh, is it
Supposed to
like
be
a book
anyway.
or something? Or?
I don't know. It's a show. They're coming out.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
it's a
I
show.
thought it was based off something. Okay.
No,
It's one of the so there's a huge explosion of like fans making stuff.
right.
And then GW is like, maybe we should hire these guys.
Yeah, so
Maybe I
hired
should
them all
buy-
up. What's that whole thing that happened with Death of Hope too? Who also screwed up a lot when it came to voice acting.
Oh,
Oh
yeah?
my God, man.
Oh, so bad.
That's the one that Kevin keeps talking about.
Death of Hope is the Krieg one, right?
No.
No.
Death of Hope is the heresy
Black-
one.
Oh, I thought it was the Black Templar one.
No, it's about the heresy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's one that's about Krieg that everybody's always like, you should watch this. It's great. And every time I watch it, I'm like, the animation is god awful.
No, the
I think
animation
there's
for
like
Death
an
of Hope-
artist thing that like it gets stuck in your head where you're just like, I know that this could be better.
No, the animation for Death of Hope is like breathtaking,
But
but the voice
watch.
is
Yeah.
horrifically bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Is it just, it's like somebody trying to do
yes.
another voice. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Space Marine's like, huh, I was your brother. It's like, oh God. And then it's like a bad filter that's not even done properly. So it's like one part it is a woman screaming, and it literally you could tell is a dude going, someone save my baby. Like literally it's what it sounds like. It's so bad, dude.
And then the Chaos Space Marines or the Trader Marines just like, step.
No, the Chaos Space Marine goes, "Hurrah." That's the
they're
noises they make.
So they're already just, they're full on like the bloodthirster, like don't speak.
Yeah,
High
basically.
Gothic anymore.
They have
Or low
like
Gothic.
they have a lot of like word bearers in it. And the word bearers, and then the Ultramarines like, you were my brother. It's just so bad.
And they just shouted at each other.
You
a
guys
bunch.
remember the Ultramarine movie? I don't even
that
know
was
if I
bad.
could finish it.
It was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
I wanted to like it.
I did too.
It's one of those things. Was ended up in a conversation earlier today talking about this, where a lot of people give credence to the MCU as being this organization that said, "All right, we're going to gather a bunch of resources together. You're the only people who can write for the MCU. You're a pool of directors for the
I
MCU.
see.
You're a pool of artists for the MCU." And like that model, in my opinion, is it's the Black Library model. The difference is that, as Games Workshop developed Black Library, they're like, okay, these are the artists to pull from. Okay, these are the authors to pull from.
Like pools to pull from.
But they never did when we get to the point of making animation, here are your animators and here are your voice actors and here are your directors.
They're still trying to find them. Well, that's why they're pulling all the pools of the fan.
They put so much effort into really creating like a unified universe when it came to writing, and it did really well. Like I honestly, it surprises me how many books have been written for the Black Library.
I think
it's mind blowing.
I think we should get on the topic at hand, fellas.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I know this is probably going to be like a pretty no. If people are coming to come listen to like our podcast and whatnot, they're gonna
people listen to us.
Yeah, right. And they're like, oh, they got an orc episode. I'm gonna start there, and then they're gonna hear all of us talking like bullshitting, and then Kevin's not here to fill in all like the video game space. They're not.
Hey, this is mandatory podcast fuck around time.
What are we at?
We're over. We used all of it. Mandatory podcast fuck around time.
Talking about how orcs speak.
I just hate it so much. It really ruins it for me.
Yeah.
You know?
I can see it. It's not a very, they're very guttural looking, so they should have a very guttural voice.
Dude, they should sound like Bane from Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Monkey work.
Yeah.
That's how they should sound.
I thought you were going to say like Tom Hardy, like yes.
I would actually, that would be better than what they make them sound like.
No. They should be Canadian.
You merely adopted the fungus. I was born into it.
I was born of it.
So speaking of the fun guy, let's start there. So,
what is these animals called orcs?
What is orcs? So, the orcs are descended from a genetically engineered, weaponized race created by the old ones. That race was called the Quark.
They were gnarly AF.
Yeah, they were incredibly smart, incredibly brutal.
Could just rip apart Space Marines, even nowadays.
Cunning, you would say?
Cunning and brutal.
But
brutally cunning?
Yes. All of the things you just said. You summed it up well.
Right?
Yeah, their technology essentially rivaled or was better than Space Marine armor right now, I think is what I heard.
So the old ones created the Quark and the Eldar to help them fight the Necrontyr.
Right.
The Quark were just incredibly difficult to control, incredibly brutal, and kind of went off and started fighting amongst themselves and fighting other things.
Fighting, fucking, killing.
And there's not really a good explanation as to what happened to the Quark, if the Quark are still around or if they completely devolved into the Orc.
Right.
But essentially, the physiology of both species is very similar. Right. So orcs reproduce when they die, they release spores into the air, and then those spores can infest a planet. And then those spores grow into fungus, and that fungus takes on several different physical properties.
Right. Yeah.
The most basic is literally a fungus. It's a mushroom.
Right.
You can pick it up and eat it. And then,
I don't know if anybody can, but
orcs can.
Oh yeah.
And then there's a specialization of the fungus, kind of one step up, that are called squigs, which are essentially it's a mouth with teeth.
We'll probably have our own episode on squigs because there's just so many of them.
It's like a two-legged
fucking
pig.
Amazing.
It's a two-legged pig with
it's a two-legged pig.
Yeah. It's a little T-Rex, a fat ass T-Rex.
Yeah. Yep.
With a big mouth.
And if you kind of picture. If you want to get a picture into your mind of kind of how orcs act, think of an ant hive, an ant colony, where there's specializations in each level of their physiology that do stuff. So squigs kind of eat the fungus and spread the fungus.
Right.
And then above squigs are snotlings or grots. I think
mainly snotlings.
It's snotlings. Yeah. And snotlings are like super wimpy grots.
Yep. Like half the size of a grot.
And then a grot is essentially a goblin.
Yep.
If you want to put it that way. Yeah.
And then once they kind of like they've proven themselves, they become Gretchen. They save up the teeth to buy a gun and they become Gretchen.
And then they can become Gretchen. And then there are Gretchen that are in charge of essentially herding smaller orcoids. So everything we've talked about so far is an orcoid. And then in charge of herding Gretchen are runt herds. And this is the first point where we get into an actual orc.
Right.
And then orcs themselves are split into a couple of different sub chunks.
Yeah, basically depending on size. They're all orcs, but it depending on the size is where they fall in line, I guess.
As far as I am aware, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, a grot does not become an orc. The highest a grot can become is a Gretchen, and then there is a hard stop between what a grot is and what an orc is.
Yeah, I mean they can become the Gretchen have like a bunch of things that they become in themselves, like like grot orderlies or grot oilers or little
ammo grots.
Exactly, ammo grots. Like they can become a bunch of things in themselves.
But just don't think of it as squigs become snotlings, snotlings become. It doesn't work that way. No. There's fungus is a chunk, squigs is a chunk, snotlings, Gretchen and grot are a chunk, and then we get to orcs. So orcs come in basically two major flavors, boys and knobs. And the way that orc physiology works, which is part of them being a designed super weapon, is they're a mixture of fungus and organic properties. So if you were to slap an orc down on an autopsy table, and there is a really cool image from an old codex of an orc and an autopsy table,
like a cut open frog from high school.
Yep. It's a mixture of funguses and kind of bioorganics as far as what you'd eat, and then like organs as in
it's like a fat meat it's like a what do you call those hamburgers that are actually
impossible
burgers think of an orc as an impossible burger slab of meat. That's what they are. You cut another piece of meat off, like another impossible piece of meat, and you slap it on top of that, and boom, that's an orc with like a third arm.
Yeah. But the biggest part about orc physiology to take away from an orcoid physiology really is that the bigger they need to be, the meaner they need to be, the more intelligent they need to be, they will become based on the fact that they're a genetic weapon. So they hold a lot of genetic memory. We'll talk about genetic memory soon, a little bit in the future.
I know me and you talked about it before, but a lot of people get it wrong where if like an orc believes it can fly, eventually it'll fly. Yeah. It's based off how big their mob is, how many orcs are there, how much psychic warp power they have combined.
But it's also, and that gives them access to warp power or wog power.
Right.
However, when it comes to an orc mechanic is actually making something that's mechanically sound. He didn't go to college. He doesn't have a background in mechanics, but if you shoot an orc out of the driver's seat of an orc truck, that orc truck will still work if an Imperial Guardsman gets in it, because it's still a mechanical vehicle that functions by physical laws.
Yeah, and those are all like genetically engineered like subtypes of orcs.
It unlocks when the orc needs it.
Right.
So if you're born an orc, you pop out at your little mushroom and your
mushroom sack.
little pop out of your mushroom sack, and you're ready to go to orc school, which is just fighting with your boys.
Like orcs actually are after a short time after they're born, they're almost the equivalent of an adult man or an adult person.
Yeah, they spring fully formed from the ground.
Yep.
If you want to steal from Lord of the Rings with dwarves,
very soon they'll know how to talk. Yep. They'll know how to shoot a weapon, and actually they'll know how to operate a vehicle like very shortly after they're born. So it's not like they're children,
especially if they need to.
Oh yeah.
And they'll know how to operate, say a bunch of orcs are stranded on a planet with a bunch of night tech. It's just laying around.
Oh, those are gubbins, man.
Yep.
Gubbins,
a mech boy will evolve pretty quickly because that's the available resource. They'll figure out how to cobble those knights back together. And then an orc will just know how to interface with a knight because it needs to interface with a knight. So the magic, the warpery, whatever you want to put into it, is the fact
goes on with orcs.
Is the fact that their instinct and their intelligence increases when they need it. And a lot of people, it's kind of a meme, like orcs never run out of gasoline because if they believe there's enough gasoline, their tank is full, or orcs need ammunition because if they believe the box goes clinky clinky, then there's ammo in it. And that's not necessarily true. Orc guns function because they have bullets and because they have propellant. They don't function because an orc believes it functions. So there is a difference between like kind of the meme side of it and the actual play side of it.
Right. The actual world, grimdark, 40K.
Yeah. But it is interesting to kind of talk about it, especially since at one point in a previous edition, that was very much the assumption. If an orc believed that they could never run out of ammo, an orc would never run out of ammo.
Yeah, very memey side of it.
Yeah. So this concept of the orcoid race getting more intelligent, meaner, and stronger the more that they exist and the more that they are in conflict and the more that they need to be extends to everything. So you could end up with a giant squig called a squigoth that's just the meanest, jerkiest, most
Fattest.
dangerous squig ever. And that may have come out of, squigs are raised and harvested for a lot of purposes, but one of the reasons that they're raised and harvested is for food.
Yep.
And another way, but it's food that bites. Like think of if humans had decided to domesticate dire wolves for their meat.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Fat, ugly, hairless.
My favorite meal could bite my arm off. So squigs, they'll get mean and they'll take squigs into war too. So you could end up with a giant wrecking ball with just gnarly ass teeth. And then, you can slap a couple of tank turrets on it. You can put a platform on its back.
Well, I mean, you think of how we use cows, we eat them, but we also use them to do agriculture. We use them to tow things, tow carriages.
Produce that.
It's the
milk.
Yeah. For milk, it's the same type of. The squig is the orc's animal.
That's a really good
That
point because we
juice.
turn cows into bags and there's a squig bag.
Dude, that is a really, I didn't think about it. Yeah, that is.
I mean, we have a bigger process. We tan it and then we turn it into a bag. An orc just raises a specific type of squig that its entire function is to be a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. The squigs are the orc's animal.
Yeah.
We as humans, we have a lot of different animals for different things. Orcs have squigs. That's what they got, and that's it. Like, because the orc race is meant to be an all-in-one.
Yeah.
Everything's related.
Self-sufficient.
Everything's self-sufficient. That it's a closed circle.
Yeah.
It's actually a very terrifying race.
It's very difficult to get rid of because every time an orcoid dies, it releases spores, which can then grow into the fungus, which makes orcs, which makes them almost impossible to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what they say is that once a planet's been infested by orcs, it's pretty much
impossible to get rid of them.
Exterminatus is the way to go.
Or you just keep fighting them.
Yeah, that's what
you keep fighting them. Yeah. So my favorite type of squig, if we just want to go through squigs, and then we'll move to Gretchen. Oh. My favorite type of squig is I love hair squigs. The whole idea that there is a squig that is cultivated because orcs want to mimic the vanity of humans and Eldar as having hair just amuses me. So orcs are hairless. But when you see an orc model that's got a top knot, or you see an orc model that's got chin hair,
that's just a squig. That's a squig. On to his head.
He picked up a hair squig and he let it bite him. And I think that's fucking amazing. It's hysterical.
That's pretty great.
And the squigs also eat the fungus that is the squig. So, cannibalism is a thing in this entire race. Yeah. You have a favorite squig?
Actually, mine is the big one. I love gargantuan squigos.
Yeah,
it's basically it's a runt herd that raised and bred blue ribbon squigs and he finally made this big fuck off gargantuan squigoth that he's just behold my big ass fucking cow.
Yeah. If you guys are having a hard time picturing a squig, I know we keep talking about their balls with teeth and legs. Think about Pac-Man with really muscular legs and it's crossbred with a dragon.
Yeah. And a tail.
Yeah. And a tail.
You remember beholders?
Yeah.
Think of,
very
beholders,
much like a beholder with
all
super muscular legs.
Yeah. Beholder that's so fucking
It's
funny.
Mike Wazowski minus the arms.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. But very muscular.
You got a favorite?
Bomb squigs.
Bomb squigs.
Yes. Bomb squigs are great.
Well, I like them because bomb squigs are basically they strap a bunch of explosives onto a squig and then release them. and they go and run and bite and blow up. And that's actually an homage to bomb dogs and incendiary pigs.
Really?
From the Roman time, when the Roman armies were fighting, oh God, I think it was not the Seleucids, the Carthaginians.
Mm-hmm.
The Carthaginians had war elephants. So in order to fight them, they would have a farmer
That's awesome.
who literally had a bunch of pigs. They'd soak them in tar and set them on fire.
Get the hell out.
And then
The pigs
like,
would run screaming into the field, and the elephants would be like, "Oh my God!" You know,
smelling of bacon.
yeah, and then the elephants would freak the fuck out and then attack their own lines.
Damn, that's
Interesting.
crazy.
Yeah, and then during World War II, the Russians actually developed bomb dogs, where they strapped a bunch of bombs to dogs, and the dogs would run underneath tanks, and then they'd blow up the dogs.
That's brutal.
And yes, it's horrific.
Yeah.
And that's why I like it, because 40K.
Yeah, it's grimdark.
It's like it's paying homage to it.
Yeah. You know, it's like, okay, cool. There's something like that.
Yeah,
You know?
I dig that. And of course, it belongs to the orcs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got
Which the squeak is terrifying enough on its own, but then the fact that it
strap some
explodes.
bombs to
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, they were in. I'm gonna take Kevin's spot here. In the Space Marine game, they have those bomb squigs, and they are gnarly to deal with. You hear them like go off, and you're just like, "Oh fuck, there's a bomb squig around the corner."
They're like, "Wah!" You're like, "Oh God.
Run away!"
So next up, you guys. Anything else on squigs? Next up, we got Gretchen, Snotlings, Grots, Gretchen. They're all essentially the same subspecies of Orkoid, and they don't get bigger. They don't get bigger and meaner.
No.
They get smarter.
Yes, very much so.
And
Scheming.
In a lot of ways, Grots and Gretchen run orc culture and they run orc economy.
Yeah, they're almost like the oil that lubes the bigger machine that
Master
is the orc.
Blaster.
Yeah, in a way.
Master Blaster.
Just don't be in the way, because if I sit down, I'm going to sit on you, and then you're no longer in charge.
What's Master Blaster?
Mad Max.
Thunderdome. Mad Max Thunderdome.
Oh, okay.
There's the big guy with the little guy.
The big dude that's the muscle, and then the little guy that sits on his shoulders.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Who rule Undertown?
Yeah. But as smart as Gretchen get, they're not ever above orcs. Orcs are always in charge. But like a functioning society needs a black market. That's what you got Gretchen for.
And the Bad Moons.
Yep. Yeah, right. I've always liked obviously my nickname is Goblin King, so I have a fondness for Gretchen and Grots.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked the idea of like the Grot army.
Yeah. The Rebel Grot army. Yeah, I love that shit, dude.
Yeah. But in fact, my mech war boss is a Gretchen in a big combat suit.
Oh hell!
He just built himself. He was like, I got to be an orc. Obviously, it's a Hulkbuster from the MCU.
Yep.
He was like a little tiny guy, and he had to build himself a Hulk suit.
Dude, that's awesome.
He built himself a Hulk suit.
That's what I love about Killicans.
Yeah, dude.
Yep. Killicans. Yeah.
I never really. So growing up, when my dad was around, he used to play a game called Death Trap Dungeon. I'm going to take Kevin's video game spot again. He used to play a game called Death Trap Dungeon.
Okay.
And it was a game where you were basically like a guy and you would navigate through a dungeon and there'd be a bunch of like crazy traps and you would just die. It was like the old school Dark Souls, I guess you would say.
Okay.
And there used to be these little Gretchen or these little goblins. They used to run up and they'd have a little mini pitchfork and they'd stab you in the ass.
Yeah, that's aggression right there.
Yeah, and then like you'd be like, oh, what the fuck, and it'd scare you because you can't see, and you like you'd see your guy jump up like, oh shit, and then you turn around and you see a little Gretchen running away like, you're just like, oh, you little motherfucker, and then you'd set off a trap and die. So I always used to hate them, and then like as you know, society slowly progressed, we got something called Goblin Slayer. I'm sorry for anybody that has seen that, and I respect.
I don't like the name.
I have a lot more respect for them after watching that because man, they are conniving, evil little bastards, man.
Yeah. You got anything on Gretchen?
Never really been the biggest fan of them, you know, like I get why they're necessary, but like they've always just been that annoying thing that orcs have. Like
I
even
kind of
orcs?
like them more in Age of Sigmar because they have
Yes.
their own place.
Yes,
So
their
do
own
Squigs.
faction.
They
Yeah.
have their own faction.
yeah, see, I can understand that. Like in 40K, that's what it's so difficult, man. Like I want to like the orcs, I really do. But there's so much a part of them that's like this little part that I don't like, this little part that I don't like, this little part that I don't like.
I feel
Is they're almost made to be too comedic.
yeah.
You know, like
the comedic relief.
They
Yeah,
are the comedic relief of the 40K.
yeah,
universe.
and that's what bums me out because like the whole like saga of the beast, like Gazgul Taraka, like all of that
Right.
stuff. It's like, dude, they sound so cool, but then you're like, and there's a Gretchen who's like, and
And
it's
then-
like, what is this, dude?
Yeah.
Like, come
and then
on,
you hear
like,
about the big mech that strapped a city-sized thruster to a planet and
Yeah.
crashed it into another planet. You're like, what the fuck is going on right
yeah,
now?
like I mean, even that,
It's
but
just-
even
it's- that's how
cool.
orcs are.
Yeah.
Hey, but that's cool. Like that,
That
part I can
orc,
get behind.
that orc needed to crash a planet into another planet. He had a genetic need, so he figured out how to do
I'm
it.
pretty sure his name was like Planet Smasher or like World Ender.
It probably was after he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the other thing is it's like you get some of those names where it's like, you know, get Ripper. And then it's like, but then you have like I said, Gazgul Tanaka.
Yeah.
And you're like, that is a badass name. And then you're like, what's your name? He's like, my name's Waffle Stomper. And you're like, I hate you. Like, you know, like, you're like,
And this
awesome, I hate you.
and
Like,
this is my number one. This is my number one grot lemon party.
yeah, like, I'll hit people with your waffle iron. Like, it's like, what? Like, where
Do not
did this come from? Like,
do not Google either waffle stomping or a lemon party.
yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like grots are totally that. It's like, if I wanted to see Dobby, I'd watch Harry Potter.
So I don't
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to change your opinion on this at all, but I'll tell you what grots are. Grots are gremlins. Grots
Yeah.
are World War II gremlins.
yeah, no, and that's,
The common conception of like things are crawling on my airplane, ripping mechanical parts off. That's grots.
yeah, but see, and that's the thing is it's like if they didn't make them smart and they made them function like Ripper swarms in Tyranids or scarabs with Necrons, if they made the Gretchen function like that, all about it.
Instead
Like
of
they
being-
jump on people and rip people's eyes out. Like I'm sure that's what they do, but then
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but then they're like,
Gretchen are
and then
nasty.
they lick it and go, this will be worth a shiny penny. Like
Yeah.
that's, I'm like, okay, I hate that.
like a little leprechaun. kind of
Yeah,
thing.
like, yeah, exactly. They take them from a gremlin and then they turn them into a leprechaun.
You know, it would be pretty neat.
Leprechaun was pretty gnarly, man. I'm not gonna lie. That,
know, it'd be
when I
pretty-
watched that as a kid,
All you got to
Yeah.
do is throw shoes at him and then you're fine.
You know, it would be pretty neat. And you'd have to just
That's how you beat,
Put the little
that's how you beat a
buckles on him.
leprechaun. He's got to clean his shoes.
just don't take his goddamn gold and you won't die.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you've
It's-
seen that movie,
It's that
right?
easy.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
throw your shoes at him and he has to clean them.
Leprechaun in the
Yeah.
ghetto, like you've seen that, right?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
Do you know
throw
how
your shoes
many?
at him.
Do you know how many Leprechaun movies
Isn't
there
there
are?
like 9?
It's like
Yeah,
18.
It's ridiculous.
oh god.
So
If Gretchen worked like critters, I'd be all about
yeah,
it. You know
Well,
what I mean? Well,
I-
that's like Ripper swarms.
I think another interesting take on Gretchen, and you'd have to, if you were to build an army like this, if you were to build your lore like this, you would have to communicate with everybody you were playing with, and you probably wouldn't be able to tournament them. But it would be interesting to run an army where all of your Shudas were Gretchen.
Yeah.
Every single Shuda you put down was a Gretchen, and all of your Choppa boys were Oryx. That makes sense to me. Gretchen are your shooters.
Yeah, they even
You
have
know.
a higher ballistic skill
Yep.
in the game.
Yep. Be interesting. And I like the Ripper Swarm thing, but I think the thing that fills that in are Squigs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's
but
like,
they're also funny.
see, but that's the thing. It's like Squigs are like gene stealers to me. You know, if it were in that type of world, like I said, you would use the Squigs like battering rams. You'd use them like the big monsters. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, you're
So
trying
And
to.
then the Gretchen are the little ones that would sneak up on you in a swarm and eat your legs and feet out from under you, you know, but they're not. They jump on you and hit you with a rock and then steal
gotta-
something off of you that's shiny. Like,
Right.
Cool. Go into one of my obscure lore.
Go for
things. So there's actually, I'm gonna. Tom says how it's kind of like it breaks the immersion of the grimdark universe,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Yeah. So there's
You do kind of need like from a Just really quick, from a writing perspective, if you mix in these humorous bits, it makes the dark bits worse.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times why this sort of stuff is done.
Yeah, I just don't feel the need that you have to have an entire army that's comic relief.
I do.
I
I know. Like I said, well, I mean, like that's the
And
thing.
I don't,
it's like,
and I don't play,
I wish.
and I don't play my orcs that way.
Yeah, see, like dude, if the orcs were like they were in my head, I'd love them.
Yeah.
But the
like,
fact
like
that,
the Uruk-hai?
yeah, if the orcs were like the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings,
Right.
I like how he pronounces it. It's just fancy and nice.
I would be 100% in it. I'd be like, these are my dudes. Like, I am all this.
Yeah.
But because they are the way that they are in Games Workshop, I'm like, they're my least favorite faction.
Dude, can you imagine, like you put this in my head. This is your fault. Can you imagine kit bashing knobs with storm vermin? So you get these knobs that just have these giant fucking like hell glaives.
Yeah.
And like even go a step further where some Gretchen has figured out how to integrate, because they've seen it with custodes. They're like, oh, custodes do this. We can figure it out. So they've integrated the shooter with the glaive. Yeah. And then you just have ranks upon ranks upon ranks of these knobs.
No, like hammers with machine guns or hammers that are that one ends instead of the hammer, it's a rocket.
Yeah.
You know, like you hit them and it explodes.
I absolutely love the Tank Buster kit because the Tank Buster kit has the one dude where it's a sledgehammer, but the hammer part's a rocket. Yeah. That guy is going to be effective once.
Yeah, but even like, I could even understand that. Like I would be cool with that if like the hammers were explosive, you know, like,
right.
Or they were rocket powered, you know, like that would be awesome. Like
I have a guy that's bit smashed like that. He has a Burnabama missile. Right, he's holding on to it, and he has it strapped. He's just like it's hunched over his shoulder. He's just gonna run up and just fucking
cold cock somebody with a rocket, and it's either gonna go off or it's gonna do a fuck ton of damage.
Exactly.
Wait, it's either gonna do a fuck ton of damage or it's gonna do a fuck ton of damage once
and go off.
You were gonna bring up a story. Sorry.
But to get back on the whole I think the ones that you really don't like are the snotlings, because the snotlings, I don't want to say they're useless, but they're definitely the ones that are not like, they're not as scary. Like they're more like assistants and whatnot. But so snotlings, they actually have mechs have a weapon called a shock attack gun.
Yeah,
I love this fucking gun.
A lot of people know about the shock attack gun. It actually was feared in 8th edition because it had like these gnarly rules, and that's where it kind of like really became prevalent. But so the shock attack gun, it's this huge like how do I put it? It's like it looks like a big
electronic windmill.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And what it does is it projects a force field around a warp black hole. And it has one at the entrance of the shock attack gun, and wherever the person is, wherever the orc is pointing the end of that shock attack gun. And it's actually a very feared weapon amongst like all the orcs. Like only mechs are like, I will hold this.
It's because mechs are insane.
They're odd boys, which we will get into.
And we'll get into the different types of,
so what they do is snotlings, because they're so dumb, they snatch up snotlings and they suck them up into that shock attack gun, shoot them through the warp. And because there's force field technology that holds that holds the warp in place so demons don't come out and whatnot. And what it does is it snags these snotlings up and it launches them through the warp that are protected through teleporta and force field technology. And when they come out, they're so scared shitless that they are just a fucking fury of knives and teeth and claws and literal shit all over the place.
But where they come out is usually inside their target.
Yes.
So like imagine this fucking ball of teeth in anger is teleported directly
Inside
into your
booty.
chest cavity.
Oh yes, chest. Right into your anus. it probably. I mean, there's already shit in your anus, but now there's snotling shit in your anus.
Yeah, the funny thing
best weapon to use against Slaanesh.
Well, like the funniest thing is in game, if you roll right, it's inside the target and it does a bunch of damage. Right. If you roll wrong, they teleport outside the target and then just smash against it.
Yeah, you're just like,
So what we used to call it on the board game was the stuffed animal gun.
Yeah.
Where it was like basically if you shot him and you like messed up the shot, it was like being hit with a stuffed animal.
Yep.
But if you
Blinks
teleport a
off your
stuffed
armor.
animal inside of someone, you'll fuck him up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's my little obscure lore
On
bit
Gretchen.
on Snotlings. Yeah.
Snotlings, yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much Grotz, Snotlings, and Gretchen. You know, they're the more conniving side, the more planning side. It does give you a lot of opportunity to kind of play around from a lore perspective. I've got a Grot, as I mentioned earlier, that is essentially my mech boy for my HQ unit, because he got to a point where he was tired of getting shit taken. So he started building his own mecha armor suit, and he became, and my lore is a little bit more developed than that. I don't know if this falls into your good name or bad name, but my war boss is Grit Toof One Tuska.
It's an awful name.
It's an amazing name.
I mean, it fits with orcs, but it's terrible.
Yeah. Christy actually had me create a female war boss for her. I mean, it's a what do you call it? Non-binary. war
Yeah.
boss?
So orcs don't have, I mean,
Male, female.
we call them orc boys. They're called orc boys and they're called all this stuff. But like as a race, they don't genetically reproduce through sexual activity. There is no,
They're asexual.
yeah, there is no,
big
Yeah.
booby orc.
anyway,
At least that we've seen.
unless of course you specifically raise squig boobs.
Oh.
And then you attach squig boobs. You saw
Yeah.
imagine an orc saw a sister in battle and was
Oh
like,
my God.
oh my, her armor's mighty tasty. I want to look like her. And like,
Squig boobs, dude.
squig boobs, chomp, chomp, then puts on the sisters of battle corset.
Dude, I dig that. we're gonna have to write that into Christie's lore.
Are you happy I didn't do the, I almost did the orc voice.
Yeah.
I almost did the orc voice. I was like, nah, I'll just do it as Gruff Ryan.
We're gonna have to write that into the wifey's lore, man. The squig boobs. I like that. I like that idea. But
What ridiculous name do you have for this?
Yeah.
What is it like fucking big fist of bean flicker? Like
her name is War Boss Gorka Gut Ripper.
Gorka gut ripper.
How original.
How original.
Because I'm War Boss Mark. She's War Boss Gork.
Yeah.
Ah, I see what you guys did
I'm
there.
War
I
Boss
see what
Mark
you
and
guys did
she's
there.
War Boss Morka.
So I went with Grit Tooth. Here's something we're going to bring up real quick, because we've already talked about Grotz and Gretchens and Snotlings and the black market. So orc currency is teeth.
Teeth.
Not teeth. Teeth.
Teeth with an F.
And there's a reason for this. The main reason is orcs' teeth continuously grow throughout their entire life.
And
like a shark. And once they're out of their head, they decay.
Rapidly.
So their entire economy is based on a very unstable, stable supply curve.
Self-sufficient.
Very self-sufficient. And the way that an orc becomes richer is by beating the crap out of other orcs and taking their teeth, and then using those teeth to pay for things.
Yes.
So Grit Toof is Grit comes from the like gunslinging days, and then Toof because their currency. And then One Tuska is he's had one of his tusks ripped out. He permanently does not regrow that one tusk. There's reasons for it.
Oh. Well, I can't wait to get into your lore stories.
I was being really clever with my like Western style name, and Tom's
Tom
like,
is
that's
not
fucking
amused.
awful.
Tom is not amused at either of our names. Well, tell us, Tom. What would you like if you had a name? If you had an orc name that you would make your war boss? Because we've actually talked about this. Is spoilers. We talked about something. We're not gonna release it yet, but we have some things in the works.
Some ideas.
Yeah, about
if you follow
that have to do with war bosses.
You want to follow our streaming stuff, you might get a glimpse in the future.
What would you call you? Tom is actually really good with names. Like we've had a bunch of people in the Discord ask us, oh, hey, I'm having a hard time, trying to figure out my name. Can you help me out? And we all of us definitely have some good valuable input that we give them. So if you guys ever, Discord plug.
Discord plug. Yeah.
Discord plug. So Tom, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Was Johnny on the spot? Is that what it's called?
Johnny on the spot. Yeah.
I know I'm putting you on the spot right now. Do you have a name that you can think of. It's okay. There's take backsies. If in part 2 of our orc episode, you come up with the name you like more.
Or in a month, if you come up with a name you like more.
Yeah.
Until you've made and painted the model, you don't have to keep the name.
Yeah, because all right, so let's have a little side thing right now. All right, so what would your war boss be? Would he be a biker? Would he be like a war boss on bike?
Probably.
Yeah, you think so? He wouldn't be like a big mech suit or anything like that?
He would just be large.
Large? Extra large?
Yeah, it would just be the biggest.
All right. What clan would you go with?
That's why I used a fucking troll when I made my war boss.
That shit's sick.
I don't know.
You don't know what clan?
I don't know what clan.
What colors you like? We're going to get into that
bikes.
soon.
Yeah,
so he's going to go,
red and black.
Red and black, so that's Goths.
Yep.
Yeah, like speed freaks.
Yeah, Goths are
with so a Goth is a clan, speed freak is a cult.
right. But black and red is mainly Goths.
Yeah,
do you like checkers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's 100% Goths.
Okay.
That means you like to crump, and crump. You're some of the best crumpers in the Orky galaxy.
Yeah, that would make sense.
You okay, Ryan?
I was pointing out I was having a Jeffrey. I'm having a Jeffrey moment.
So all right, so you like Goths. All right, so it's got to do something with crumping. So this is like
heavy melee combat.
This is like heavy belly crump stomper.
Oh, you want me to make a name that's like stupid?
No. I'm just throwing.
I thought my name was not stupid.
No, I mean you want me to make a name. You want me to make a name for an orc
that's
Games Workshop Orky.
Yeah, that's Orky.
Not my Orky.
No, give me your Orky.
Give me your Orky.
Yeah,
your Orky.
My Orky would be like Aruk Mundraka.
Okay,
I like
that would be like his first name would be Aruk.
Yeah.
And his last name would be Mundraka.
I like that. I like that.
You know, because I don't know, I just like that sound like Aruk Mundraka. Like,
can you imagine
like Khal Drogo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can you imagine, right? So there's this off chunk of the galaxy, because the galaxy is fucking huge, so this could totally happen. There's this offshoot of the galaxy, this like forgotten corner, and this old, golden age of technology society grew and like took over these like 5-6 worlds that are all relatively close, relatively easy to get to. And then somehow one orc spore ended up getting there and they just didn't know how to deal with it. But say that this splinter of humanity had like the technological advancement of like Star Trek, right? Their society just isn't really dedicated to war. They've got like phasers and stuns and torpedoes and stuff like that. They obviously have some background in war, but the whole idea of like exterminatus or like burning something from existence really doesn't hit them. And because of this, they're just slowly devoured, not slowly, like over 100 years, they're just devoured by these orcs, right? But this is what happens. These orcs take over by fighting the organic part. But once the people that live there are dead, they don't go and sack the city. So these orcs have access to these fucking libraries and like giant like civilization, like, and then your orcs move in.
Where are you going with this, Ryan?
And they start fucking reading like all of these legends, and they're like, oh, this is us. And they just adopt this entirely different perspective than normal orc culture. Because normal orc culture is so grounded in frontline war.
Aggressive, yeah.
And then you just end up with these guys that are like, no, we're a trained, highly regimented military, maybe even.
I look at them more like,
just like an idea. Anyway.
I would look at them more in the sense of like the Na'vi, but based on war, like when it came to like Pandora, or like like the Tauren from World of Warcraft.
So right,
like more of like a more native.
Yeah, so that's actually where I'm going with this. So I think maybe snake bites, because snake bites are essentially feral orcs.
Yeah. See, I'd be all right with that. Yeah.
What you could do is like, hey, your war boss. Because they're feral orcs, they have maybe more, feral names like yours. Let's say he beat the shit out of some custode, or not a custode, but like maybe a space marine captain, and he looted the shit out of his bike. That could be you're just a snake bite. Mandruk Raka, whatever it was. I'm sorry, I forgot.
If I was gonna come up with a name for
like orky name
for like an orky name for Games Workshop, it would probably be Gas Guzzler Rockarola.
Like it.
All right.
That would be because he'd be a biker.
Yeah.
So his name would be Gas Guzzler. Rockarola, like in homage to the Who. Like mods and rockers. Like,
I dig it.
That would be like if we were doing our biggest boss game.
Yeah.
That's what I would probably
teaser.
Teaser.
So one of the other, and before we move on to orcs proper, orcs themselves proper, one of the other things that I think is kind of amusing about orc culture is the way that they count. So they have glyphs for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then they have a glyph for lots. So as soon as you hit 6, it's lots. So I was thinking, while you go going back and forth, you're trying to come up with a name. Like if you had to continue along with making fun of the British concept of like orcs or Cockney, you have a very distinguished orc. Okay, he was raised by the highest society.
Oh damn! Dude, could he count to 10?
Count to 6.
He was raised by the highest society. He knows how to put on a proper suit. He knows how to work for Her Majesty the Queen. But he's really only good at one thing: killing. So he finds his way up in MI6, and then somebody goes, "Well, what's your name?" And he gives his designation first.
Tony.
He's a 00 lots.
Yes. Tom is not amused.
I hate everything about it.
Dude,
I hate everything about it.
God damn, I fucking love that, dude. A 007 orc.
I hate
00 lots.
It's like a hipster orc. Like,
Oh God, dude.
I don't even know what would his name be. Like it
it'd
can't be
like
James Bond.
No. It'd have to be like Bork. Like my name's Bork.
No, like,
Game Bork. Like some shit.
well, like Bond is like glue, right?
Yeah. Okay.
They're like, what's your name? Glue. Super.
I made glue.
Super glue.
I know. What's James in Spanish?
this is what I hate about it. Because when you like come up,
glue.
when you start to come up with like lore for this is what you end up with.
I would never develop this. This is literally just let's be fucking
It's so
jackasses.
good.
Ugh.
So one of the things that Mark had just brought up, and we've talked a little bit about it. We're going to get into the clans probably in our second episode. We'll finish up here with orcs themselves, and we'll do clans and the orc gods next time. But one of the things that's really interesting about orcs is depending on their need, they develop differently. So we've talked about mech boys and we've talked about feral boys. And these are kind of the opposites of the spectrum. So if orcs find themselves in a conflict with space marines, these orcs find themselves in conflict with space marines
Technologically,
on a feral world.
technologically disadvantaged, they'll create mech boys.
Well, let's do it backwards. A WOG comes into conflict with a group of space marines, Primaris space marines, on a feudal world. And the space marines, for whatever reason, are either beaten back entirely or decide to leave to deal with something else. And these orcs are now rampaging across this feral world. Well, after the fights aren't challenging enough to the orcs, orcs roll up on a fucking medieval city with their missiles and their cannons and their guns, and they murk the entire city. The orcs are like, well, this isn't fun. They're going to specifically leave all of their weapons behind or even reforge their mechanically advantaged weapons into feudal style weapons so they can get the best fight they can. We mentioned this when we covered lore, where Ghazghul captured Yarick, but then released Yarick because he wanted a good fight. At the end of the day, orcs, because of the way that they're bred to be weapons, they want to fight. That is their fulfillment in life. And as Tom mentioned, the other thing happens. This is a feudal world that has an orc infestation, and the Space Marines show up. Those orcs, within a couple of engagements, are going to figure out, oh, we need guns, and they're going to stop being feral orcs.
Yeah, well, I look at it as in like, instead of a feudal world, I look at it as in orcs end up fighting Tyranids. Well, they're not really going to focus so much on laser weaponry and things like that. They're going to focus on becoming tougher because they're fighting a tough opponent physically. While they start fighting Space Marines, they're going to realize, hey, we need better technology.
We need something that can crack tanks.
Exactly. So we got to be able to crack tanks. We got to be able to do that type of stuff. So that's where their genealogy comes in and what they'll start developing,
And that leads us into how orcs work. So most general, the smallest or the average orc is a boy. And you've got a pretty good little sentient mushroom chunk here, which explains a little bit about how that works. So as Mark kind of lays it out, orcs come out ready to talk. They come out ready to fight. They come out ready to exist in society immediately. And the majority of what an orc will do in their society is they'll fight. You know, they'll form little familial groups or little clans or whatever. But at the end of the day,
mobs,
they like to fight each other, and they'll even fist fight each other. And this hierarchy, the hierarchy that comes out of that is that the orc who wins the most generally starts to become bigger. And when an orc gets big enough, he becomes a knob. And then a knob can run a mob. And then knobs that fight against other mobs to a point where they get super tough can grow into a warlord.
boss. Well, warlord, yeah.
And then eventually a war boss.
It is everything you can think of when it comes to natural selection and survival of the fittest.
But it's done on a minute by minute basis rather than a generational.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, like all of that takes place within a single organism.
Right.
Like one individual will gain this and it will expand upon in that sense.
Yep. And then as the mob grows, the orcs that are born from those spores eventually become we'll get into it, but there's subcultures within that. Like, you know, you got your
cult of speed.
Yeah, your cult of speed. You got your odd boys. You got your mad boys, and these are all things that we're going to cover in part 2. The old ones, the brain boys.
Yep.
But we're going to get into those. But yeah, as mobs grow, they eventually become war bands. And these war bands are just made up of all the multiple clans.
Don't fuck it up.
I've tried not to. I have to look and make sure Tom approves of what I'm saying.
I don't know why you keep looking at me.
Because I have to have your approval.
You will know.
The venerable lore master Tom.
Yeah, it is. I gotta make sure I'm speaking properly.
Speaking to a night player, that's why.
But yeah, eventually orcs will create mobs, and those mobs will eventually turn into war bands. And these war bands are made up of multiple orcs from multiple different cultures.
Yep.
And eventually, you got someone like old Ghazi coming around.
Whoa, I'm sorry. To touch on that becomes genetic memory.
Yes.
So the war bands, the cults, that becomes a part of the genetic memory of the new orcs that spawn.
Yes.
So the new orcs that spawn, if those spores came from an orc that was a part of a cult, that was a part of a clan, that orc that spawns from that one is equally drawn to that cult and that clan.
Exactly.
Right. And variation can happen, but essentially every orc is born with this entire string of abilities. And then the ability that's needed is unlocked either by need or, as Tom mentioned, by
necessity.
No, not necessity.
By need and by
genetic memory.
Familiarity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at it, it's like Tyranids. Like Tyranids use biomass and genetic transference to learn and grow.
Yes.
Right.
The orcs effectively do the same thing, just differently.
An orc has all of the genetic potential built into it and all the genetic memory built into it to be anything it needs to be.
Yeah.
A Tyranid serves a specific purpose until the hive mind calls it back, and then the hive mind breaks it down and makes it a new one.
And that's what I'm getting at is that the orcs do it on a singular level.
Yeah.
Right. So that orc, any orc that spawns can be anything.
Yep.
But it has a genetic memory to be what its predecessor was, to be where its spore father, I guess you would say, came from.
Yeah.
So if the orc was a weird boy and dies, the spores are released. Those spores grow into new orcs. Those new orcs are going to be genetically more predisposed to being weird boys, but not necessarily set in stone that they will be.
Yeah. Yeah, and it could be that an orc is on the path to be a weird boy and comes across a motorcycle and is like, oh, this is the best.
I like to feel the wind in my hair squig.
In
my non-crotch.
But the biggest takeaway is as orcs fight more, as orcs pursue war more, as orcs overcome more and more challenges, generally speaking, they become bigger. And even though this isn't 100% well represented on the table currently, as of the 8th edition model line, orcs are supposed to be about the size of a Space Marine. So we're talking,
Well, it's like
most,
third edition model line.
most orc boys are about 9 foot tall. You know, they're sculpted with this hunched over appearance.
They're essentially the same size as like a Space Marine.
Yep.
Standing upright.
Yeah, silverback gorilla, if you will.
Yeah.
And then knobs are bigger. And then war bosses are bigger. And if you've seen the Gaz model in comparison,
He's fucking massive.
he's massive. And then there's, you know, Tom brought up the Saga of the Beast earlier. The Beast itself was described as being like, I think 13 or 14 meters tall.
I think there's 6 of them. The beasts.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's several of them. And that's led a lot to the concept or the ideas. Is there a primordial orc or is there a prime orc?
Prime orc.
And are orcs going to become bigger as they fight Primaris Marines?
Have you guys heard, we're going to go into obscure lore right now, but have you guys heard the, I guess it's obscure lore, the rumor that Gaz, after he got his brains, we're going to get into history. That'll be a different, after he got his brains blown out and they replaced it with the adamantium little skull, that the Eldar are actually Gork and Mork speaking to him and directing him where they need him to go.
The only problem with that is that Gork and Mork are actually now revealed as true
real
gods.
But are they the ones speaking to Gaz?
I don't know.
So speculation.
Yeah, so I think that probably gets us to a pretty good wrapping up point before we jump into clans and before we jump into Gork and Mork and some of the other natural elements of orcs. I, like you, Mark, came to orcs a little bit later on in my Warhammer career. I was not a big orc player right off the bat or orc fan right off the bat. Some of that is my nickname has been Goblin for a long time, and it even took me a long time to accept Goblin as a nickname. And, you know, now I 100% fully embrace it. But, you know, when somebody gives you a nickname when you're like 22, you're like, oh, yeah, this doesn't sound cool. Goblin, why didn't you name me Nikki Six? Because Nikki Six is a person that fucking exists, jackass.
Why didn't you call me Big Dick Slayer?
Biggest dickus.
Biggest dickus.
I was pretty blessed by my nickname.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it helps that, so you're the size of one.
So my nickname comes from a dumb 2:00 conversation. I was having a conversation with a buddy. I am pagan, as you guys have probably heard me say on the podcast before.
What?
And what? And we were talking about the concept of God or gods and how that concept arrives. And I use the example of, you know, the Greeks embodied or not embodied, venerated essentially athletics to a point where it made sense to the Greeks that the gods would be kind of these big athletic models of themselves. And that's it. And that kind of translates into Western history's expectation of godhood. And I was making the point from a philosophical and writing perspective that if things had gone differently, it might be the great sky goblin we pray to. And somebody who was friends with that same group heard me say sky goblin and couldn't get over the fact that I said sky goblin and gave me my name of Goblin. And I was like, you weren't even part of the fucking conversation. But that's how nicknames work. A nickname is never what you choose for yourself, which is why Kevin is Stubbs.
I don't have a nickname.
Whatever,
You did.
Shut the fuck
whatever,
up, Tom.
whatever, Marky Mark.
I was like, you did.
Shut the
You
fuck
just,
up, Tom.
you just really hated it.
What's
Shut
his
the fuck
nickname?
up, Tom.
What's
No,
his
I don't
nickname?
have a nickname.
What was it?
I don't.
What was
His nickname was Skidmark.
It was a play on my name. How original.
Well, it's because he bought.
Oh, Mark. Got it.
He
Okay.
bought a motorcycle and
Did you drop it
dirt bike.
immediately?
No, the joke was that he had to hold up the dude's dirty chonies as a flag on the dirt bike to
Yeah.
buy it.
Because he's
And
giving
I
me a
was
good
like-
deal on it.
I was like, man, it had a big old skid mark on it. And everybody was like, Mark? Skid mark? And
Yeah. And that's what happens. Somebody
And then-
says something
and then,
weird. And then,
Oh, and
you
then
get
he
a
got
nickname.
like super upset. And I was like, all
I
right,
did not
fine.
get upset.
You got so upset.
It was. I was.
You
just
were like,
I can
you
see
were
the
like
rage.
borderline crying.
I was more like,
Did he black out and then you
Yeah,
bought him a
like
Space
that.
Marine? I need to
I
know
was
the
like,
resolution.
I don't accept it as a nickname because it's not cool.
Yeah, but here's
I mean, it wasn't terribly original. That was the problem. That's
yeah.
why.
Well, after our buddy was like, "Oh, well, what about Skitty?" And I was like, I mean, Skitty's cool. I could do
Skitty,
a Skitty.
Skitty.
I could do a Skitty.
now you're Marky.
I'm just Marky. Yeah.
You're just Marky or Morky, I guess. That
Yeah.
might end up
I
happening.
like that
Morky
one,
might end
honestly.
up happening. I came to Orcs a little bit late, and I came to Orcs because of kit bashing. I absolutely love kit bashing. I absolutely love making my own shit. And Orcs are what you can do. You can take all your bits. You can take all your wild ideas.
You used to. unless you're going to Warhammer World.
Yeah, no, GW bits that I have saved in a bin.
No, it's not the same, dude. You're banned from Warhammer World.
Wait. So if I use Tau bits, official GW release Tau bits, to give my Flash Git a...
That's okay.
Okay, so bits are fine.
Yeah, bits are fine.
My kit bashed mech boys would be tossed out because I used Plasticard, which is...
I believe you can't even use your Age of Sigmar kit bashes.
Those are still GW models.
But they're not the official models.
Yes, they are. They are official Games Workshop plastic.
I don't know if we want to get into this in this episode, but there's people were saying that like the guy that had the Rebel Grodd army, he wouldn't be able to bring that to like.
Another reason why I don't like Orcs is it starts arguments between people.
Well, this isn't really that.
We're just talking.
This is us arguing. This is us arguing about GW's
dumb policies.
Dumb policies.
We love you, GW. Those are awesome policies.
I also, it is also kind of interesting that we released an episode about, the old rule with GW is 50% had to be GW plastic. And then literally like I'm finished editing the episode and I'm getting ready to upload it. And somebody's like, oh, did you see the new policy drop? And I'm like, oh, well, that's wrong.
Well, that episode's dated.
Oops.
Yeah, I can't help it.
That was a rule for like 20 years.
I remember. Well, even so I was looking in the Rogue Trader codex. I think it was.
I have the 6th edition. The 6th edition chapter approved has a model in it. It's a grav tank that is a Old Spice deodorant canister.
Oh, really?
That has GW bits added to it.
Yeah, they actually in the Rogue Trader, they're like, check out this
published book.
Yeah, same here. They're like, check out this truck that this player made out of plastic card and truck tires.
yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so I came to him because of that. I came to him because of the kit bashing and the scratch building angle. And I also at a certain point, I embraced the fact that I do Dungeons and Dragons. I play Warhammer. I've always kind of liked like trickster. I've always liked the trickster nature of goblins and gremlins. And I started drawing a lot of goblins. Hence why it never really went away. And it became a thing.
That's a cool thing, man. Yeah. I dig it.
Anything else to finish up on the first half of our orc episode?
Our goblin episode? No, I think we encompassed a good amount of stuff.
Yeah, we got the physiology down pretty pat.
We're going to come back and hit the history of orcs in...
Tune in next week for continuation of the orcs.
Yeah, that won't be next week. We'll probably do history, maybe...
Tune in some other time.
Yeah,
what did Mark used to do? Episode 57.
Yeah.
Episode 57 will be...
47.
History of orcs.
32.
Episode 69.
Fomorowski.
Episode 42069. Nice.
42069.
Well, that brings us to a close, my little chemrats. This has been another one of our pirate broadcasts. Again, we're coming from the smelly ass stench vats. Why did we pick this place again? Why did you pick this place again?
Free Wi-Fi.
This is the only place the Arbites aren't looking. So
that's true. Yeah. Once again, if you want to stay out of the Imperial Navy, watch out for the Arbites. Again, if you want to be part of the Imperial Navy, be all you can be for me. Our Patreon is currently live, and we're working to get extra content up and available monthly. If you would like to join our Hive gang and become a 4-armed rat, you can find us at www.patreon.com/Under the Hive of Madness. If you guys are interested in interacting with us a little bit more closely, you can find us on Discord.
Best way to reach us. It's something that we're pretty active on, almost 24/7 all week.
Yep. We actually asked our Discord for any questions they had about orcs in case there's anything that we might leave out. We'll definitely be hitting some of those questions next time. We also have a project on our Discord called the Hive Project, where we are working out the details of Innsmouth Hive. Again, as you've heard in our intros, our radio broadcast intros, we are a pirate broadcasting group running around the Underhive of Innsmouth, putting out the good words, all our good little chem rats and chem mice. If you want to connect with us with social media, all of our links are now under a link tree, which is linktree/underthehive. You can also reach out to us with other Orky questions, other questions about lore in general, or questions about the creative writing process at underthehiveofmadness@gmail.com or jimdarkgaming.com. I always go ahead and drop both spellings and links in our show notes, so make sure to check that out. Once again, this is Chemrat Radio 665.66 UHMR, reminding you to keep an eye out for any strange glowing funguses cropping up in the Underhive. We have reports coming in both left and right of people growing 5 or even 6 arms, which is 100% unheard of down here.
I got nothing.
Oh, you're hiding your 6th arm.
I got nothing.
He's hiding his 6th arm.
I don't have anything.
I only have a third.
It's in my ass.
Mine looks like it's holding an apple.
That's what that is.
I have nothing to
Oh
add.
my God, man. Maybe it's our proximity to the stench vats, or maybe it's something else, but I think that those giant gators are getting a little too close for comfort. Thanks for joining us. Remember, always throw out a couple extra crumbs for those 4-armed emperors just in case they nibble on your toes at night.
4-armed rats.
Well, 4-armed.
Man, they suck toes, so they don't.
Suck toes.
Suck toes.
Guys, I really want to fucking leave it stinks.